there's a couple of really interesting games as well. So the Walsh Cup is kicking off on Sunday. You have Micheál Donoghue's debut as Dublin manager. They're facing Antrim in Parnell Park. Galway against Westmeath in Duggan Park in Ballinasloe. You have Laois against Wexford. So that's Willie Maher's debut against Darregan. Again, two Tipperary natives going up against each other. And the more debuts here, you have Kilkenny against Offaly in John Locke Park in Callan on Sunday. So you have Derek Ling. It would be the first time in since early January, probably 1999, that Brian Cody won't be patrolling the sideline. Derek Ling is the new man in there, and he'll be facing up against another. He's not an inter-county managerial debutant, Johnny Kelly, because he managed Roscommon, but probably in the big time, this will be his first go as manager, and that's going to be an interesting one there. Obviously, Offaly are a McDonagh Cup team, and Kilkenny are obviously come back from the All-Ireland final last year, but they're down a couple of bodies with the likes of Conor Brown, Richie Leahy,
James Maher.
They're bodies that are going to be hard to kind of replace, but I'm sure there'll be lots of new faces on show. When Kilkenny played in Callan last year against Laois, there was a load of new faces on show. Be interesting to see whether Derek Ling, has a bit of old with the new maybe, but lots of big debuts over the weekend. Anyone in particular you're looking forward to most? Probably Derek Ling, Johnny Kelly, Willie Maher, and Micheál Donoghue. I suppose Donoghue's a really interesting one. Be fascinating to see how he goes at Dublin.
Yeah, no, very much so. And I want to see what players kind of fill the voids that are going to be left by Chris Crummy. Liam Rush has obviously had his injuries in recent times, and Cian O'Callaghan, who, like Crummy, has emigrated. So I am interested to see that. I'm also very interested to see how Galway go this year and who else they add, because they showed a lot of really good flashes in the first game against Kilkenny in the championship, the one that they won in Salt Hill, and obviously in the All-Ireland semi-final. But other games, they were fairly ropey, so they need to add a few players. I want to see how Laois go under Willie Maher. Obviously, he was my manager in Coola for a couple of years. And then with the Derek Ling thing it's a bit like, we've heard the comparison before about Alex Ferguson and Brian Cody, and even, I suppose, if you want to take it a little bit further back as well, Sean, in Meath, Sean, what's his name again?
Boylan.
Surname? Huh?
Boylan?
Sean Boylan. I don't know why I just had a little, it just escaped me there for a moment. But will it be a little bit like that? Because, Ferguson left, David Moyes came in, that was a disaster. And obviously the few managers after that, Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, and so on and so forth, didn't go well. You could say that they're still trying to recover from Sean Boylan leaving in Meath. Is it going to be a tough one for Derek Ling taking over from Brian Cody? Because, nobody questioned Cody there for up until the last couple of years because of all the titles he had won. Whereas Ling is coming in, yes, under 20 All-Ireland success. But do the knives come out fairly quickly from the locals, or do they give him a huge amount of time before any pressure comes on? And will he hit the ground running?
Yeah, well, a lot of, anecdotally anyway, a lot of locals would have been looking for change, or would have been looking for different styles of play to be implemented or something like that. And that, that was probably only going to happen to some extent with a new man coming in. So I'd say he probably, even though standards are very high, he probably does have a bit of time. I think crucially, and it wasn't the case with David Moyes and hasn't been the case with a lot of the kind of successors, Ling obviously was in there for a long time as a player, knows what it's like, was in there for a long time as a coach, knows what it's like, and also knows a heap of these players from being with the 20s as well, or maybe not a heap of them, but a good chunk of them, and knows the character of a lot of the lads from when he was a player and a coach as well. So I think he has a bit of a leg up starting. I think it's a lot less kind of left field, or there's a lot less of the unknown to it, I would say.
Yeah, so PWell74 makes a great point. Tyrone did all right after Mickey Hart left. Now, the one thing there is that you obviously had a two-man management team come in, so it sort of spread the load, or I suppose the responsibility or the spotlight was shared out between two men. Whereas here it's just going to be all on Ling. And I wonder if he drops a few players or whatever, how quickly will the headline Ling the Merciless come out?
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, hadn't even thought of that, to be honest with you.
You know it's going to happen, and one of the tabloids is going to put the long little stringy sort of mustache thing on him as well.
I said it to John McIntyre when he was on before, but when he came in his second term at Offaly and maybe his second year, he cut a load of elder statesmen, and the headline in the local was Mac the Knife. It's just brilliant. Like, you have to appreciate people who are able to come up with this type of thing. But the only thing I'd say like, by all accounts, it looks like Richie Hogan is staying on, Conor Fogarty is staying on, Walter is staying on, Killian Buckley, TJ. some of them have been on the periphery, you know, for large chunks in recent years. Maybe there was injuries kind of combined in that as well, but it's not a big departure. Like, I tell you what would be a big departure. If he doesn't start TJ in a big championship match or something like that, that's a big kind of thing. But a lot of those, not saying they've been phased out, but they definitely haven't played as much in the last couple of years as they would have, say, in the pomp of their career. So I don't know. I'd say only dropping TJ, only dropping Owen Murphy or someone like that would be seen as, you know, really big statement and you're Ling the Merciless headline.
Yeah, there's only a couple of players that I'd imagine have played alongside Ling. I think he retired at the end of the 2010 season, so you're looking at the likes of
You ran him out.
Huh?
You ran him out.
But you're looking at TJ Reid, Richie Hogan. Is there anybody else that goes back that far? Probably not.
Owen Murphy wasn't even involved at that time, I don't think.
No, he only started probably around 2014, wasn't it? Didn't he come in for David Herty that time?
Yeah, it might have been on the panel a couple of years before that. But no, there wouldn't be that many. From the coaching point of view, he obviously would have seen a load of them through coaching, be it seniors or when he was manager with the 20s.